athlete known for his ruthless competitiveness, taking on a beloved organization that the iconic Air Jordan says isn't allowing him to compete. Michael Jordan telling a South Carolina jury today, quote, "Someone had to step forward and challenge the entity. I sat in those meetings with longtime owners who were browbeaten for so many years trying to make change. I was a new person. I wasn't afraid. I felt I could challenge NASCAR as a whole." Well, needless to say, the jury and everyone else in the packed courtroom hung on every word. Even NASCAR's own defense attorney couldn't help but thank Jordan for, quote, "making my 9-year-old think I'm cool today," as he wrapped up his cross-examination of Michael Jordan. Joining me now is criminal defense attorney Brian Claypool and Bob Pockrass, award-winning motorsports reporter for Fox Sports. He was in court and listened today to all the proceedings. Okay, Bob, what did the jury do when Michael Jordan walked in and took the stand?
Well, usually the jury, looks at the witness, then looks at the attorney asking questions, then looks at the witness again. I didn't see too many of them looking at the attorney asking the questions. They were fixated on the witness at the stand who said, when to identify himself, "My name is Michael Jeffrey Jordan."
Yeah, he's a huge star. I mean, there's just no way around it. Brian, if you're a lawyer in a court defending a client and you have to cross-examine Michael Jordan, what's your strategy?
Hey, Elizabeth, great to be back with you. You know what my strategy would be? My first question on cross-exam would be, hey, when this case is over, can I get your autograph? To try to bond with the jury,
Yeah,
right?
You and the judge, probably.
Exactly, and all the jurors as well, right?
Yeah.
But look, it's a challenge. It's a challenge in a case like this. He's from North Carolina, by the way, as well. Went to school there. But
Exactly.
look, yeah, at the end of the day,
yeah,
exactly. At the end of the day, though, I think this case is a little different than, for example, like the Johnny Depp case. Remember that? When jurors bonded with him? That involved defamation. Why is that important? Because his career was really at stake. What did his career get tanked because of what was alleged to have happened?
No, this is about a monopoly. Well, actually, Bob, explain to those in our audience what Michael Jordan is suing about.
He is saying that in order to have a premier stock car racing series, you need to have premier stock car racing teams, and NASCAR doesn't pay its teams enough for them to have an economically viable business model to go out and perform and put on a premier stock car racing product.
So why is it NASCAR's responsibility to pay teams?
Well, that's how teams make their money, from payments from NASCAR and sponsorship. And what Jordan's team is saying is that because NASCAR owns the track, because they force them to buy the parts and pieces from certain suppliers for their cars, that the only way for them to compete in premier stock car racing is in NASCAR. There's no other way for them to compete anywhere else. And there's no opportunity, if somebody was to try to start a league, to be able to do it at that level.
How is this different, Bob, from any other sport, like professional golf or professional basketball, like Michael Jordan competed in? To explain why that's different.
Well, it's much different than basketball, because in basketball, the teams own part of the sport. NASCAR is owned by a private company run by the France family. They're the ones who founded the sport in 1948. They say, hey, we just use good business sense and our business acumen to be able to have premier stock car racing.
So, Bob, could this tear the sport apart if Michael Jordan is successful? Does he have a shot?
Yeah, if the judge decides the antitrust remedies, he could tell NASCAR they have to sell their tracks. He could get rid of the system that they use to pay the teams and say they need to bring up a new system.
Brian, have you ever seen a case like this, super quick? Have you ever seen a monopoly case quite like this?
No, I haven't. But look, I think there's one hurdle for the plaintiffs in this case and Michael Jordan. They have to prove a monopoly, which means that NASCAR controls the entire industry. So they're going to need to put on evidence that, for example, another venture came up and tried to start a similar kind of racing venture, and that was quashed by NASCAR. Because remember, in golf, you have LIV, L-I-V. They were allowed to come in and create a whole new venue to have golf. So I think that's going to be one of the hurdles. But look, it's a battle of the balance sheets as well. And I think if it gets down to the balance sheets, then I think Jordan and Front Row Racing are a little bit ahead in this trial at this point.
All right.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.